Joy. One day I was walking through a neighborhood park with my dog Muggins. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, barely a cloud in the sky. You get the picture. Muggins was up to his usual postures, and I have to solve this mystery sniffing. I was simply enjoying the sights, sounds, and smells around me. I then noticed a man and woman approaching the park. The man was carrying a bag. The woman was carrying a ball. They both were rambling to each other as they walked alongside the park. The ball the woman was carrying was an old ball. It was about the size of a small basketball, but it had clearly seen better days. However, judging from the happy bouncing of the ball the woman was enjoying, it looked like that ball had a lot of life left in it. At a point in the woman's walk and ball bouncing along the side of the park, she abruptly stopped. I heard her say to the man, "I think I'll leave the ball here for someone else to play with." The man mumbled something to her as she tossed the ball into the park in my general direction. The ball bounced across the park to come to rest by a park bench in a quiet shaded part of the park. Despite its outward appearances, it clearly did have a lot of life left in it. I momentarily thought to myself, maybe I should pick up the ball and put it somewhere else in the park. Or maybe I should bring it over to the children's playground area for someone to find it there. The ego was kicking in with all its scattered thoughts. For a moment I even thought, maybe I should put the ball in the garbage. After all, who's going to want to play with that old ball? I decided to just let the ball stay where it had come to rest. It wasn't doing any harm where it was, and I was reminded of the woman's wish and blessing, quote, "I think I'll leave this ball here for someone else to play with," end quote. I continued on my walk with Muggins and didn't give the ball another thought. The very next morning, Muggins and I were on our regularly scheduled walk through the park. The habitual nature of dogs and some humans warranted Muggins and me walking along the same path we had walked along the previous day. As Muggins and I approached the park bench where the ball had come to rest the previous day, there was a young man enjoying a gentle stroll with a toddler. I assumed this toddler was his daughter. It was joyous to watch this little person taking their tentative and wobbly steps as they explored the world like it was the first time they had ever experienced anything like it. And then the toddler saw the ball that had been tossed there the previous day. The toddler became very excited, more so than she had already been, and she stumbled her way toward this mysterious orb that was like some beacon of nirvana. Her dad watched with joy as his daughter wobbled her way in ecstasy toward the ball. When the little girl finally made her way to the ball, she clumsily bent over to grasp it. With every ounce of energy at her disposal and with every fiber of her being, she picked up the ball and held it triumphantly over her head as she let out a giggling melody of happy notes. The scene that unfolded was pure joy. The little girl launched the ball toward her father with amazement, and each time the ball bounced, the little girl giggled all the more. Her dad gently rolled the ball back to his daughter as she giggled and trembled with delight. After a few minutes of spontaneous play, the little girl picked up the ball and continued along her park odyssey with her dad. Hand in hand, they enjoyed their morning stroll. The little girl was aglow with this newfound round treasure. As I watched the father and daughter happily continue their journey, I was wondrously reminded of my experience the previous day of the woman tossing the ball into the park and saying, quote, "I think I'll leave this ball here for someone else to play with," end quote. The previous day, this unknown woman had performed her joyous and, might I say, loving act of leaving the ball in the park for someone else to enjoy, just as she had enjoyed and played with the ball. Then that woman's wish came true. The very next day, I witnessed a young girl finding the ball and experiencing joy. Who knows how the woman came to possess that ball? And who knows how long the ball will stay in that little girl's life? Who knows if the woman will ever find out that her wish of someone else playing with the ball came true? The events as they unfolded were joyous to experience and an important reminder that there are no coincidences in life. Perhaps more importantly, it was a reminder that it doesn't take much to bring joy to other people's lives, and sometimes we won't even know it, and that's okay too. Be aware that your mere existence is a joyous instant that brings peace, joy, and happiness to everyone around you. You may not always be consciously aware of it, and goodness knows everyone around you may not be aware of it either, but your Creator is.